Hey Gary, welcome to the MasterCard Cup. Just want to give you an opportunity here to view your swing at regular speed. We'll let that play on through, put you back in your dress position, and we'll go ahead and take a look at a few things for you. So while we got you back here in your dress position, setup looks pretty good. Posture-wise, spine is relatively straight here and on a decent tilt. Legs come down in a nicely unlocked position. Your arms hang down nice and naturally in front of you. Club works out to the ball. So good posture and good balance there. From an alignment perspective, you're set up open. That just means that your feet are running out to the right. We carry that towards the intended target. And theoretically, your club face is supposed to run parallel to your feet, and parallel lines on camera would have an appearance to converge. And under that philosophy, we can see that you're definitely set up considerably over to the right over those trees. Meanwhile, the center of the fairway is sort of, it's back over here. So we're probably accustomed to starting the ball somewhere out to the right, hopefully slightly inside of that red flag, and then obviously imparting some form of a right to left spin on the ball and be able to fade or slice the ball back online. And I will jump out on a limb and say that that's the kind of golf shot you see when you hit the ball well. And it is the kind of golf shot you have to see in order to get the ball back to the center of the fairway based on where you're aimed. So at this point in time, let's just do a little split screen comparison between you and Jordan Spieth. We'll flip them over to left-handed. Now I've got some color-coded lines on the screen just to use as a visual reference as it pertains to swing playing. In order to hit straight golf shots. So first thing is, postures are similar, balances are similar. Again, look at the aim. He's aiming his feet in a completely different position as you, and then all of a sudden, so are his knees and his hips and his forearms and his shoulders are going in that same direction. And like you, because your feet are going right, well, so are your knees and your hips and your forearms and your shoulders. So let's just sort of break down the swing a little bit here. So we want to draw the golf club back. We want to turn the shoulders. We want to bring the arms back, the hands back, and the club back. We like to see the club coming back on plane directly along the red line. Also, through the early stages of the golf swing, we want to create some form of a wrist hinge, which means that we need to take the club head currently from below and in front of our hands to getting that club head above and behind our hands. Okay? So that's a very important transition aspect of the takeaway. From here, we want to work the club from red up to the blue-yellow V zone. When we finally set the club at the top, we want to have either the right arm of the club situated on the yellow line, anywhere in between the blue-yellow V zone, or physically even up on blue, as we see with Jordan Spieth. We want to have full shoulder rotation. We want to do this on a stable left leg, and we want to maintain the posture and the spinal axis we achieved at address. So let's watch you move the golf club back. Now, typically for people who set up open, they have a tendency of drawing the club to the outside of the swing plane. So here we go. We draw the club back, and we can see that the club head and the club shaft are definitely going outside of your swing plane. So as we continue to move back here, we're going to continue to see your hands and arms move further out in front. And typically for people who do this, they end up getting their arms set too steep at the top of the swing. So let's just track this right to the top. Let's see if you create some wrist hinge. So a little stiff-wristed with the club through here. Really haven't created any wrist hinge just yet. Club head starting to get a little bit above the hand, still not anywhere behind. So now we get some wrist hinge there. Club head definitely has to fall back, and your subconscious brain is going to realize this, otherwise you're not going to have any power. So we can see there the club's starting to fall behind your hands, but your arms are still working back too steep. So, but you're starting to shallow out now, so this is somewhat of a good correction right there. So when we finally get to the top of the backswing, see how you've shallowed things out now? So that's pretty good. So your subconscious brain is realizing, hey, I can't just keep picking the golf club up the way I am. I'm not going to have any power from there, right? If you put your right arm so it's covering your face, I mean, how are you going to hit the golf ball from that position? We just can't do it. So let's look at where you are right now. You got good shoulder rotation. Arms are in a pretty decent position. You didn't really maximize your wrist hinge, so that's something we want to learn how to create. I mean, wrist hinge does two things for us. One, it creates club travel in the backswing, and two, it creates power on the downswing. because it's like a pitcher throwing a ball. He takes his arm back, cocks his wrist, he comes through, and last second he snaps that wrist cock. Well, it's the same thing with a golf club. We have to create wrist hinge to create that snap going through. But at the end of the day, we've got pretty good turn. The arms are in pretty good position with the golf club at this point in time, considering we took that golf club pretty severely outside. Pretty stable left side, etc., etc. So the reality right now is there's only two things you need to do. You need to figure out what proper alignment is, and then when you swing a golf club back, don't be afraid to let your hands, arms, and golf club swing inside and around. You got to remember, if we're going to work this golf club back on plane, a plane for the shaft of the club means that the club head works on an arc. An arc is a circle. A circle moves to the inside of the golf ball, not outside. So don't be afraid to let your hands, arms, and golf club swing way more inside and around your body to initiate the takeaway. I'd actually rather see the club head and the club shaft move inside of the red line than watch it move outside. Okay? So if you just let things move inside and around, then you know what? You'll get to this position way more naturally. Maybe you'll even get set a little bit shallower, which I would not mind in your case. Because then it'll make it easier for you to come back into the ball from the red line, from on plane. So in Jordan's case here, as we start our downswing, what do we want to do? Well, we want to take our weight from now on our left foot. We want to drive it to the right. We want to fire our knees and our hips laterally to the target. We want to unwind our core, and we want to fire our hands. And in doing so, we want to bring the club from wherever we set it within that blue-yellow V zone. We want the golf club to return back to plane, back to the red line. And that's exactly what we see here with Jordan Spieth. The golf club has returned back to plane. The other thing we want to point out here is the relationship between the lead forearm and the golf club. I refer to this as the checkmark position. This simply means his club head right now is remaining above and behind his hands coming into the hitting zone. This is what's going to allow us to create a lot of power in our golf swing, aside from the fact that he's also going to hit the ball straight because the club has returned back to plane, and this is a main criteria in producing straight golf shots. So in your case, because you're set up open and you took your hands and arms outside and you're a little steep at the top here, you are going to attack the ball from over the top, too steep, and out to in. Because again, you have to fade or slice the ball based on where you're set up right now. Okay? So here we go. We initiate your downswing. Nice transition. Feet, knees working, hands are dropping, but they're dropping out in front of you. Okay? So you're throwing this club out in front. Let me go one more frame and then I'll start tracking the club head. Actually, I probably could have tracked it from here. Yeah. Okay? So let's mark the club head. Let's go to the next frame. Let's go to the next frame. So you can see that you're throwing the club out in front, and the club's now outside the ball. So if we simply just sort of connect the dots here, we can get a pretty good visual sense as to how that golf club was tracking into the shot. So it's coming over the top, it's coming in steep, and therefore it's going to be on an out to in path. Whereas with Jordan Spieth, his club returned to plane here. That would be your frame right here, which is nowhere near the red line. At this point in time, how does this club come into the ball? Yeah, it comes into the ball from the red line. And as I already stated, this is what produces straight shots in accordance to our alignment, and lastly, assuming club face squares up via having a good grip. So seeing that the downswing planes are vastly different here, now we can take a look at the path of the club. And we can see with Jordan, the club is inside the ball. The club expands out to make contact. The club moves through in a nice natural subtle arc. So again, he's going to hit the ball straight based on his aim. Your club is outside the ball, dropping down and across to make contact. Look at how that club moves across the ball. So if you square the club face up to this path, you're very clearly going to hit the ball solid, but it's going over here. Well, where's there? Well, it's where you're swinging, and it's where you're aiming. So very clearly, your mind tells you, hey, I better leave the club face open. And when you leave the club face open, you can sort of block the ball out in this direction a bit, obviously imparting some right to left spin, and hopefully just enough to create this sort of slice or fade that finds the intended target. If we leave the club face too open, now the ball's going to start too far left, incredibly, even though we're swinging way right, So now we have to understand that the club face is massively open. We're going to be imparting a ton of right to left spin on the ball, and we're going to be hitting this block slice. So the end result of your golf shot is solely dictated based on the timing of the club face. When we're swinging the golf club from outside, striking the ball, moving across to the inside, if we square the face, it follows red. If we over-release the club, not only does it follow red, but now we're going to hit some form of a pull hook or draw, and it's going further right. Okay? If we leave the club face too open, it follows blue, and we time it properly, it follows yellow. And again, like I said, I think right from the get-go, that's the kind of golf shot you are relying on. I do want to look at your left foot through point of impact here. Your left foot's flat on the ground. Jordan Spieth's foot is not. And watch the continued activity through to the finish, up onto the toe of the left foot. Okay? That gets his weight to his right side and allows everything to square up. You need to learn how to create this footwork through to the finish. Okay? Very important. And it's very simple. I mean, we got our energy stored on our left foot at the top of the swing. Swing through, come off our left heel. Get up on the toe. Stand on our right side. Okay? That's pretty simple stuff right there, just to allow you to move through to a much more simple finish. Overall, you've got some nice athletic qualities with your swing. I mean, your hands work great. They come back, they fire through. Your core works well. You coil, you uncoil. You need better footwork to allow you to finish the golf swing, which we just talked about. Okay? At this point in time, if we want to become more consistent, you have to learn how to aim properly. You have to learn how to bring the club down on plane. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, again, if you swing your hands, arms, and golf club inside and around you right away, don't take it outside, and you shallow out the top of your backswing, this will already improve your downswing. It's a domino effect. Now, whether it improves at 5% or 95%, I don't know, but at that point in time, then we can go ahead and focus on, okay, how do we learn to bring the golf club on plane coming into the ball? At that point in time, now take a look at your grip, make sure the club face is squaring up, and if we have good aim, good downswing plane, and good grip, we can hit straight balls. We can be consistent. Right now, you're having to produce fades all day long to find the target. Again, if you square the face up too much, it's going right, leave it too open, going left, but if the timing's on, you will find the intended target. Now, I do want to take a look at your club face through impact here and see exactly where it was. So here we are coming through, out to in. Club face, yeah, it stayed open. Ball is going to the right where you're swinging. So let's see how long we can track that ball for. Okay, so I just lost it. So the ball was right at the tip of that arrow. So the ball is starting to the right. It's not starting as far right as where you're aiming or where you're swinging. So the face was a little bit open. That's going to impart a little bit of right to left spin. That ball will fade back. And it'll probably fade back just the right amount, and you will find the intended target because your timing was on in this particular swing. So great job. Anyways, at any point in time you ever want to work on any of these aspects of your golf game, I'm located over at Glen Abbey in Oakville. I'd be happy to structure a program for you. Also, if you're involved with any golf tournaments at all, you guys are looking for a unique gift to provide your guests, feel free to touch base. Be happy to discuss my swing analysis services. Again, hope you had a fabulous day, and I hope you enjoyed getting an opportunity to see your swing on video.